Hello, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. I'm gonna make a video for you today that I think you're gonna find real interesting, and I'm gonna start here with a Facebook post that I made this morning, and you'll see what I wrote here. Aaron Pachlhofer asked, "Do you know the names of the 4 people that were murdered, died in your home?" Okay, I was supposed to be number 5. Okay, and so that's the opener of this video that I'm going to name the 5th murderer, or the 5th murder. Okay, and so my next comment here was, his exact words were, "I'm well aware of the many corruption accusations against the Midland Police Department. I am not sure it is a secret police scenario as much as it is pure criminal activity by the police. But if I can ask, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names?" Okay, and so I have a print screen of that, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. And I go on. I said, some people noticed that Aaron put a question mark at the end of his statement when he told me how many people have been murdered, died in my home, and thus tried to say he was asking a question, but that makes no sense as he was very specific on the number. Okay, and Aaron knew exactly how many people had been murdered, died in my home. He didn't ask me if I knew the names of the 3 or the 5 or the 8 or the 10. He said 4. Okay, so that's clearly a statement. He said 4 people have been murdered, died in your home. Do you know their names? And he made a grammar error and put a question mark there. And since he knows exactly how many people were murdered, died in my home, then it makes sense that he also knows their names, right? He asked a question that he already knew the answer to. Okay. I don't know this man, Aaron Pachlhofer. He wasn't on my Facebook friends list. And, you go to Google and you Google him, and LinkedIn shows up, and he has a LinkedIn account, and showed me that he's an environmental coordinator at Fasken Oil and Ranch. It's a large private oil and gas company here in Midland, and the owner of Eccentric Brewery, and his friend told me that he was a Mason, so he seems like a credible witness. Maybe law enforcement wants to ask him what he knows about the 4 people that were murdered, died in my home. Maybe he wants to tell them before they ask him, okay? And you see, using the same logic that I just went through. And this I copied and pasted off the internet. Eccentric Brewing Company got its start after winning a $72,000 grant awarded by the Midland Entrepreneurial Challenge. So a grant means they gave them the money free. They don't have to pay it back. Its owners, Jamie Eel and Aaron Pachlhofer, okay, soon began local operations in May 2018. So I'm sure that was a huge favor to give somebody $70,000, right? The brewery is credited to be the first craft beer brewed in Midland. The brewery's creations are now available in about 14 locations around Midland, but the pair is still finding their footing in the Texas craft beer industry. With 12 craft beer creations so far, they have yet to establish their own tap room. Okay. And this was a news article, but, I know some people might be asking was there any strings attached to this $70,000 gift? You know what I mean? Strings attached to, don't you tell anybody who the 4 people were that were murdered, died in Buddy's home, right? And we'll give you $70,000. Now, I don't have proof of that, but that's just interesting that happened after the fact, right? Okay. So here's a print screen of the conversation. And this was on one of my Facebook friends' wall. He wasn't a Facebook friend of mine. And there was longer than this, but Aaron is talking. Buddy, I watched your video and parts of a few others. There's some serious accusations you make. Have you located and entered the tunnel? And that's always about, what have you done, buddy, besides prove a capital attempted murder, paid to get, 11 secret police identified and found proof that x-rays were fake? What have you done? Well, that's really isn't what has law enforcement done, right? How come nobody's been arrested here? Anyways, any accusations that I've made are backed up with hard evidence and facts. Not all things are known yet, so many things are still speculation based on observations. I've uncovered more evidence than any crippled crime victim should ever have to provide, and this has shown an unprecedented level of public corruption. As you read, I put my own money on the line to get these criminals identified, and that was the secret police, and I'm disabled living on a fixed income. I've tried to focus on the known, which is a capital attempted murder, and still secret police. This is really an attempted murder case and not a tunnel case. The evidence makes that clear. Once they are identified and arrested, then I believe the unknowns will be made known. Now, this happened before Empire Private Investigations identified all 11 of the secret police that were caught on camera 6 years earlier, right? That's unheard of. And I really thought that would end this. Finally, we get them identified, but it didn't. You know, the crimes just continued, and they're trying to terrorize me out of my home. Is what's been going on. And it just gets ignored, and, even doesn't matter how many murders are, I guess, And so anyway, Aaron Pachlhofer goes on. He says, I wish you luck in life. I won't involve myself. I'm well aware of the many corruption accusations against the Midland Police Department. I'm not so sure it's a secret police scenario as much as it is pure criminal activity by the police. But if I can ask, there are 4 people who were murdered, died in your home. What are their names? Okay. And I'm like, this is the first time I've heard 4 people died in my home, but I was told about 2. My neighbor directly across the street told me that the previous owner, Mike Lawhon, died in this house, and she said that twice, and then there was more there that I didn't expand out on, okay? And then I comment here again, Aaron, this is the first time I heard 4 people died in my house, but I was told about 2. My neighbor directly across the street told me the previous owner, the same thing I just read. But there's a link to an older video called What Happened to Mike Lawhon. He was the previous homeowner of my home, okay? Lisa Frisk, she was my Facebook friend, but she ended up unfriending me after this, and she writes, Aaron, and she says, Aaron, invite Buddy one of your Mason meetings. Perhaps someone in the group would find his story interesting, perhaps guide him, okay? And so, that was just out of the blue. Lisa said that. And Aaron says, what is that supposed to mean, Lisa? Right? And Lisa says, I know you're in a Mason. Buddy has always wanted to communicate with the Masonry group, or at least I recall him saying something about that in a few of his posts, which isn't true. I think she was making that up for sure. But I think it was a hint or a clue that the Masons here in Midland might have information about these crimes, And Aaron Pachlhofer says, I make no secret about being a Mason. Masons are not secret tin-foil hat group, whatever. But I'm thinking this Mason right here knows something about 4 murders or deaths in this house, right? He said he did. I mean, it's his word. Well, so I Googled him. And I said, this is Aaron Pachlhofer's LinkedIn page, and he seemed like a credible witness. I think that is important because I'm sure some people want to discredit the fact that he told me 4 people had been murdered, died in my home. Isn't that a huge thing? That is the wrong LinkedIn right there, and I'll have to fix that. I don't know if it's on my desktop. It's not. But basically he works for Fasken Oil and Gas, and I grabbed the wrong LinkedIn print screen. And he worked for a different company in 2012 when I was shot. Okay, so then I went on. The order got changed up. Facebook's buggy or whatever, but the exact order was this. I said, I don't know the names of the 4 people that Aaron Pachlhofer said had been murdered, died in my home, but here's a guess to one of them. A former neighbor, Marilyn DeLuigi, told me twice that the previous owner, Mike Lawhon, had died in my home. But she also said that somebody else died here before him. I've wondered if that was the still missing man, Rini Escobar Sanchez. He was reported missing 3 months before Mike died, and I found some evidence which made me suspect it may be connected to my home. Okay, and so here is a video that I have, missing man. I'm gonna put these links on, on this video so y'all can watch these if you want. But this might be one of the people that Aaron Pachlhofer knew about and was asking me about. Like I said, 3 months before Mike Lawhon dies and I move into town, then he goes missing. He's still not found to this day. And there's a longer story to that of why I think it might be him. He might have been killed here. I strongly suspected that the previous young owner of this home, Mike Lawhon, was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth with several pieces of evidence and unanswered questions about his death. He died the week before the 2008 oil show started, and is believed there's an underground home in the backyard. Okay, and so suspected murder of Mike Lawhon here. And that's another video right there talking about all the information. I mean, it's incredible on Mike Lawhon, right? You Google his name and you'll see with Odessa American posted a death notice saying he died in Fort Worth. And 4 days later, they posted a second death notice and changed the location to death to say he died at his residence. And that's what the neighbor told me, that he died here. But his death certificate says he died in Fort Worth. And so you have conflicting statements of where he died at. And I'm suspecting that he was murdered here and taken to Fort Worth. And that way it was, and it was also the week before the 2008 oil show started, and which is significant because it's believed the underground facility in the backyard is used for the oil show parties. Okay. And here's the third guess. It says that maybe Aaron was counting the murder of the young girl at the 2010 oil show party when she refused to prostitute for the sex slavers there. It's believed this happened in the underground home in the backyard. And my friend that was at the party was afraid to report it and said that high-level police were also there. A lot more to that story, too. There's actually people that my friend that was at the party witnessed it, right? She was afraid to report it. There's other people, I believe, at the party, and I believe this happened in the underground facilities. That, a woman's recorded saying there's 4 underground homes causing over $1 million apiece. We got a sheriff guy running for sheriff, and he said our last sheriff used to hang out in these underground homes. I mean, there is so much evidence backing it up. It's just absurdity. Okay, and then I can't even guess who the fourth person was. I don't even have an idea, but I'm sure Aaron knows, right? But it should be clear that I was supposed to be the fifth, as nobody accidentally breaks into a house, sneaks into a private home, and accidentally shoots an unsuspecting homeowner. That takes premeditation. You got to load your gun, drive from your home to my home, and then they cut the phone lines and shot me from point blank range directly on an artery. Okay, and this video is on that during the commission of a felony, because it's believed that I unknowingly trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom that day after reporting burglaries for over a year to the police. And maybe that was a part of the motive for murder. And so I'm thinking here that Aaron Pachlhofer, has information on the 4, obviously on the 4 people who've been murdered, died in my house, which would be important to law enforcement because it sounds like serial killers. Is that what obviously these are very, very dangerous criminals, right? And obviously we have a significant police corruption. That don't mean all police are bad. It don't make me a cop hater. It says we have some corrupt police involved, and it looks like we have multiple murders. And any good police right now that looks the other way is obstructing justice. There's too much evidence here because they're going to keep on killing until they're stopped. This Buddy, Midland, Texas.